And yeah, let's just make sure that. Note the old tree line here and the wire in there. This is our new temporary break. Wind's supposed to be out of the southeast. See if that's true. How about some water there, Kelly? Yes, sir. Yeah, right. So we'll let our interior people jump in there.
Hey guys, I'm Jeff the Homestead Dad and welcome to the channel. I am doing something today that I did not expect to be doing. I'm watching, observing them burn down our forest. Not really. This is a prescribed burn, and our next door neighbor has actually contracted this company to do a prescribed burn on the property in between their house and mine. And if you guys follow Arms Family Homestead, you've seen him do prescribed burns. So I was talking with Dave, the owner, for a while, and was like, hey, we're gonna do a little bit of our section up there that is contiguous to this. And he was kind enough to let me come along. We're gonna talk to him a little bit later. But you can see they're already getting it going. They've got, I think, a crew of 5. I'm mic'd up with a walkie. They're gonna do a burn. You can see they've got people on the shagbark hickory trees to make sure the fire doesn't climb up. So Dave's here with his torch and diesel getting it going, and then they've got interior people torching and using water to make sure it doesn't climb up the trees. And this is what we're gonna be doing for the next little bit. So I think you said on the map it's about 5 acres, the area. 5.5, I think. And how long does a burn like that typically take, or it just depends on the conditions?
Depends on the conditions.
Okay.
Actually, I think because if I drew it as 5, the way we came, it's probably 6 acres of it.
Okay.
Maybe even 6.5 or 7.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this for?
I have had my own business for about 22 years.
Okay.
I just retired last year from working for the city of Ann Arbor in the Parks Department.
Okay.
Being a burn boss there is part of my responsibilities for 28 years. So I've been burn bossing for 29 years. I was on burn crews myself, carrying a pack around for 5 years before that.
Okay.
So probably.
So how does one get into being a burn boss?
Well, experience is probably number one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So doing this for 5 years, exactly. Getting that experience.
Figuring out, learning about fire and how it works, and all the things that can go wrong.
Yep.
There are a bunch of classes you can take.
Okay. Put on by a state, I would assume?
Not the state.
Okay.
The feds mostly.
Okay.
There's a National Wildfire Coordinating Group, NWCG,
okay.
who does trainings. Everybody who goes out west to fight wildfires goes through some basic wildfire training classes. And so I take some of those. Then there's some additional ones that are not so much geared toward fire suppression, but they talk about smoke management, fire effects, and how to be a crew leader or a squad leader, and how to be a burn boss, basically. So there's some of those classes that you can take as well.
Okay. And you're based in the Ann Arbor area. I mean,
in Ann Arbor.
Do you travel? You said you got like a 5-hour radius?
Yeah, I got clients in central Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, and throughout the lower peninsula of Michigan.
And do you work mostly for private homeowners or governments, or?
It is a mix.
Okay.
Private landowners. We burn for some county parks and city parks, township parks, businesses, corporate campuses that have converted their corporate lawn to native landscaping.
Yep.
Farmers that have fields that they need burned.
Yep.
a wide range. And so one day we're up on top of ladders, getting up to green roofs to burn some green roofs for a business. And then the next day we're out in the middle of rural Michigan doing a 100-acre field for somebody. Woodlands, wetlands, prairies, all sorts of things.
And have you found that to be more interest in this as the years have gone on? It seems like as people are becoming more green conscious, like the fact of, that we're not letting these naturally occur, needing your services in order to burn the undergrowth.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot more people interested in native landscaping. And so just that side of it alone, there's lots of people that have planted 5-acre prairie that moved to the country, bought a 10-acre lot, don't want to mow 10 acres, so planted a prairie to do a lot of burns for them. More and more corporate campuses are getting on the bandwagon and converting, doing some native landscaping on their property as well. And when I started with the city 29 years ago, I was the only city, or there was nobody else in Michigan in the cities or townships or county park systems that were doing any kind of land management or burning. And now lots of them are, either with their own crew or hiring contractors.
Okay. Very cool. And on average, how often do you recommend burning?
So it depends on the site.
Okay.
It depends on how quickly the site regenerates enough fuel to burn, and also what the needs of the site are. On this site, we've got lots of young buckthorns, 3-4 feet high, that are just at the right age for easily killing with fire. We have enough oak leaf litter here. So if we get good kill today, we could let this site go for a few years. We burned here last year, didn't have a good day. It was a little later in the year. Didn't get very good coverage, so we're back this year to do that. I have some clients who want to burn every year just because they like cleaning up the thatch from the previous year.
Right.
Like the renewal every year of it. Other ones who have us on some kind of rotation, so they may have their property divided into thirds, and they do a third of it every year.
Okay.
In a rotation, so we're there every year, but only burning part of it. And some will just have us back every 3 or 4 years.
And is this a seasonal type project? Is this something that is, mostly from, late February to May, or is this year round?
Well, you hit it. It's mostly seasonal like that. Most of my work, 90% of my burns are March, April, May. And then a little bit in the fall.
Okay.
Maybe 2 or 3 weeks in November. But that said, I have burned every month of the year for one reason or another.
Yeah.
If we have people that are doing plantings and they've herbicided some stuff they want us to burn off so they can plant it in June, we've done that. We've done some mid-season burns, and if you can get those to burn, they can have great effects. It's just hard to get a lot of our sites to burn that time of year because it's too shady.
Kelly, today, you want to sell me more water?
Why don't you run down to the Argo and get some? I'm going to come down there in a second, and I can help you, or else you can get started on your own.
I see it. Thank you.
You interior folks could not go too much further. I'm going to get Ted up around the corner, and then I'll come down and move that Argo.
So if this is a seasonal endeavor, that begs the question, what do you do the rest of the season?
So for the last 29 years, I worked for the city parks in Ann Arbor and ran the Natural Area Preservation Program.
Okay.
We would do burns in the city during the day.
Okay.
I would take off after work, go burn in the evening, on weekends and things. Retired from that last year. So this keeps me busy actually doing burns in March, April, May, even into June.
Okay.
I got to spend June cleaning up equipment, fixing stuff, all that. I spend
the joys of business ownership, right?
Then I spend summers we just bought a cabin 3 hours north. So I can hang out there for the summer, do some site visits. Those kind of happen year round as clients contact me.
Consultation type things?
Yep.
Okay.
And looking for people that want to burn and going out and visiting the site, flagging it if need be, putting together proposals, figuring out what we're going to burn and where and with best timing and all that. And come back, do a little bit more burning in the fall, and then back up north to the cabin in the winter.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so Right now, how do you do most of your advertising? Is it word of mouth? Is it?
It's word of mouth. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll sponsor some conferences that attract people that are interested in this.
Yeah.
But it's mostly word of mouth. It's if I do a good job for somebody, they will have me back in the future and
Right. And tell their friends about it. Yeah. Neighbors.
Running
Yeah.
into people while out leaf
Yeah. And I'm assuming you're as busy as you want to be at this point, or you could be busier.
I could be busier.
Okay.
I'm mostly as busy as I want to be.
Okay.
But there's more and more opportunities to expand the burn season into
Yeah.
the summer a little bit more. We're gonna keep moving here.
Yep.
Ted, come watch this branch here. I wanted to stop so you caught up. This log's gonna need a little bit of water on it.
You guys can see where we're at. This is the border of our property and the neighbor's property right here. So they're going to kind of come all the way to here. We've got a path here. We're going to do almost all the way over to here. But you can see they've also started some interior fires over along here. So they've got the fires going there so that they can keep everything burning along in here. They'll burn along the break and then they'll burn interior as well. And they just work with the wind and keep burning. And you can see it's probably going to be more difficult here because along here it's really wet. So I'll be interested to see how this all burns, considering I can see standing water right here. So aside from staying upwind from the smoke,
Yeah.
do you guys have any precautions with regards to smoke inhalation, or it's just be smart about where you're standing?
Be smart about where you're standing. There's not. People will sometimes wear bandanas or something. Those really don't help.
Right, unless you're wearing a respirator with
Exactly.
full, yeah.
And those make breathing really hard, as hot as it is.
Yeah.
So the main thing is to be cognizant of the smoke, where it's going. A lot of times you can work a fire from the other side of the line. If I wanted to, I could stand
Right.
over here. And I've got it easier because I'm ahead of the smoke.
Yep.
Ted is back there. He could stand inside and spray across the line if he needed to
Yep.
be out of the smoke. Your water's right up there. Oh, there we go.
And you said you did what, Ted and Kelly and is it Austin?
Austin
and Brandon?
And Brandon, yeah.
What they are doing now for 5 years before you became a boss, do you see any of them kind of following in your footsteps?
Well, my crew changes every year,
Okay.
except for Ted. Ted has been on my private crew for probably 6 or 8 years.
Okay.
He was a volunteer with the city for 20 some years before then. But he's retired, and
Okay.
see, I don't think he has interest in this. The other guys, Kelly and Brandon have each been with me for 3 years. This is Austin's first year. I went to school for this sort of thing, so
Yeah.
it's always been not burning specifically, but for conservation biology, doing natural area management and things is
Yeah.
my career. So, because besides just knowing about fire, it's helpful to know about the ecosystems.
Yeah.
I'm not consulting with clients saying this ecosystem really needs fire or it doesn't. This will really benefit from fire or it wouldn't.
Yeah.
These are the really fire sensitive things. These are not. So, it's I like to think I'm more than just a burn guy.
Yeah.
It's a whole package of ecological restoration.
Yeah.
And where fire could fit into that.
So which leads the question to, in a situation like this, obviously all this buckthorn
Yeah.
benefits from keeping this down because
Yeah.
buckthorn is invasive and just a pain. What are other situations that are, burn is a beneficial? I mean,
So, you're right. In
Do you have any more fuels, Kelly?
Kelly, come on over this way up by the garage towards Jeff's property. The Argo's up here with another torch on it.
Got it.
So certainly any kind of prairie planting. Prairie plants are not just fire tolerant, they really are fire adapted. They like fire, they thrive with fire. So if you have a native prairie planting with native grasses and things, they really will benefit from fire. Same with wetlands. A lot of wetlands are getting invaded by shrubs, just like the woods are here. So if there's native sedges and grasses there in the wetland that will carry that fire, if it will burn, it probably did burn historically.
Right.
So fire is good for that. That's most of what. Well, I guess other cases, if someone is doing a prairie planting and they want to kill off the existing vegetation, fire won't kill it off, but they may herbicide it, and then we would burn it off with a fire so they have good, clean, blank ground to burn into, to plant into.
Because I think I was talking to Adam, and he was talking about last year, or I think you had mentioned too, once they get to a certain age, it's just not helpful or to burn, once you get the buckthorn to a certain age, the fire is really not going to kill it.
Yeah, and the reason is, and I've top killed buckthorn probably 3 inches diameter.
Okay.
So it's pretty sensitive to fire if you can get good fire in there. The problem is that a lot of times where it grows, it shades out other things, so you don't have the good leaf litter down below there. So yeah, sometimes I'll get a call from somebody who, has heard about fire, they want me to come and burn, but it's an area that's filled with all kinds of scrub trees and buckthorn and logs, and it's just a big mess.
Yeah.
And I have to explain that our fire is not going to consume the dead logs.
Right.
And it can't burn if there's no fuel there.
Yeah. And I think you had mentioned yesterday that when you burn, you kind of lose the wildflowers for one season.
If you burn this late in the year.
Okay.
We're into late April now, and so the trade-off is that burning now, this is when the buckthorn is leafed out, so it's
the
a
most
very effective time to kill this.
Okay.
But any wildflowers that are up, even the native ones, will be set back this year by that. So if we burn earlier, like if we could have burned in here, if it were dry enough before any wildflowers came up, we wouldn't have hurt the wildflowers at all.
Got it.
But we wouldn't have gotten as good a shrub.
Right. And with the spring we've had, it was not dry enough to burn any time recently.
Right. And my challenge is trying to get to all my clients at the time they want to get to. I do a lot of burning here in Southeast Michigan for eastern Massasauga rattlesnakes.
Yep.
Which are fen species.
So you burn for them?
Yeah, because they're fen species, and their habitat requires burning.
Okay.
So they need to burn through these wetlands, and we need to do that before they emerge.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, so we're often those are some of our first burns. Cold, cloudy days when the ground's still cold, so the snakes don't emerge.
Okay.
So that was a lot of what I was doing some of the early months.
So is that why you'll see a lot of encounters with the Massasauga over at Thai Botanical, is because they take care of their ground so well?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're at Mathi and some of the metro parks, and Oakland County do a lot of burns in Oakland County parks as well.
Okay.
Those are all sites that are known. So we're trying to benefit the native ecosystem, and we don't want to hurt the native plants, especially the rare ones.
Yeah.
Ted, we got a hollow tree over here.
Hey, where's that? Go ahead. I can do something.
Here's a great example here. This big old oak tree here.
Yep.
This is what much of Southeast Michigan used to look like.
Yeah.
These big, huge trees, 5 feet across, widespread. This is the tree that grew up in an open area, not a dense wooded area.
Right.
It could stretch out its branches, get lots of sunlight. Fire would have kept the area open. You take fire out, and these other trees come in, some native, but some non-natives as well. And now it's actually shade pruning that. So some of the lower branches have been killed off because of the lack of sun.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty common to find old trees like this in areas that were once much more open. So as we burn these areas, get rid of the buckthorn, open it up. Easier to walk through, easier for game to go through, better for hunting, and great for these young oaks. We don't get a lot of oak regeneration here because acorns need to have sunlight to grow. They also need contact with the bare soil. So you drop acorns here in this shady woods, they don't germinate. Keep burning it, let in more sunlight, get rid of the leaf litter, we get more oaks regenerating.
Very cool.
All right.
Now, I'd assume at some point it becomes too windy to have a safe burn. What point is that at?
It depends on the site. If we're in the dense woods, we can have, the wind speeds that you hear are at the airport, Oakland Airport. So it might be 25-mile-an-hour winds with gusts of 40 at the airport. Here in the woods, not that windy.
Yeah.
Ted, why don't you relight this line so we get a good black line here. From here back to that electric box. It's, if we're in a big prairie, we like to have a little bit of wind. If it's too calm, we can't judge which way the fire is going to go.
Okay.
I've had situations where it's, the fire department might say you can't burn if it's more than 5 miles an hour. If it's less than that, the wind is really shifty.
Yeah.
We'll light what we think is going to be a back burn.
And then it moves the other
To a
direction?
head fire.
Okay.
So it's safer for us if we have a consistent wind and we know which
Yeah.
way it's going to go. A little more fire here, Ted.
And with this type of fire, you're obviously not worried so much about big embers traveling. So as long as you've got several feet of black,
Yeah.
you're not worried about it jumping then over.
Yeah, exactly. So all of our burns are done this way. We have some kind of a burn break around the entire burn unit.
Yep.
It may be, if there's not an existing trail there, it might be just a, in this case, I took a leaf blower, blew the leaves apart to make a little break just a couple feet wide. And that's enough to stop our back burn that's backing into the wind. And actually, as that burns, it creates a black area, a black line.
Yep.
That's free of fuel. We've burned up all the fuel, and so that itself becomes a really good break.
Yeah.
Our 1 foot wide blown line becomes a 10 foot wide black line that can't burn.
Yep.
And our goal is to get a continuous black line around the entire perimeter of the area. And then we could carry the fire all the way around the perimeter. It would burn together and put itself out.
Yep.
We won't do that as much here because I don't want to risk catching any big dead trees inside and getting them on fire.
And that's why you'll have people on the interior with
Yeah.
water packs just to make sure the fire isn't climbing up the trees.
Exactly. And it won't hurt the big trees, but if there's an old dead tree in there, especially a hollow tree, the fire can get inside of there, burns up inside, and then we have to potentially cut
Come
that
back,
tree
or-
down.
yeah. If you asked me yesterday morning if we'd be burning our property and the property next door, I would have said no. But here we are. How's it going, Kelly?
Going.
So how did you get in this? I asked you earlier, but not on camera.
Alright, so I started volunteering for Department of Natural Resources, and we were out there doing cuts to buckthorn, building a big brush pile. And
Yeah.
I asked the steward, Kelsey, I said, what are they going to do with all these brush piles? We should burn them. And she's like, actually, we contract them out. You know, not only does the DNR have their own burn crew.
Yeah.
And I said, that's a job.
So when we get this site
3 years ago now.
well lit up,
I've
I
been
think
burning
most let it
things.
sit
Okay.
unless they
That's
got
a
any
job.
Yeah.
bad mop up.
Very cool.
Important.
Yeah.
Another couple acres
Yeah.
of property.
I don't know if I mentioned it to you earlier. So the handheld bottles they have, I believe, are filled with diesel. They use a little bit of gasoline as an accelerant to get it started because diesel burns well, but doesn't light well. If you've ever done bonfires and poured gasoline or diesel on it, makes there's a huge difference between those
Ted,
two.
did anybody light the east side of that fence out towards the road? No, I just got the west side. Just finished up the west side. I need another torch today.
And then he's got a pack of water on his back.
Okay,
That's
Ted, I'll bring
just-
you one. Maybe we'll leave you here to do some more lighting.
So there's a water pack on their back
By the way,
that is just pump powered. It's not 12 volts, it's not anything. It's just spray power. You pump it and it sprays.
And I'm up by the front. In that way.
And then they all wear these walkies so they can talk and communicate and see what's going. And you can see, look at the difference in here and how much
Coming
this
that way
part
with
is
the Argo.
burned and what it looks like. There's such a huge difference. It's amazing. You guys fight for position?
No. Usually whoever
Whoever goes first gets the warmest. Second and third gets smoked out. The breeze going through it.
So how long have you guys been doing this?
This is my third year.
Okay.
I started it 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Worked all season, and then I only worked once or twice last year because I had a full-time job. But
Okay.
back again full-time this year.
Okay. And how did you get started in it?
Facebook ad, actually.
Okay.
I was in between jobs, and I was like, wow, that looks like fun. Who doesn't want to burn stuff?
Seriously, I was like, every child's dream, every boy's dream, right? You get to, your job is burning stuff.
All the times I got reprimanded at the farm, lighting
Yeah.
fires. Now I realize why.
Yeah.
You get to see the full effect
Yeah.
of fire. I love it.
And you?
I'm on, I burned last year for 5 or 6 burns.
Okay.
This year full time.
Okay. And how did you find it? The job?
I worked for the Drainage Commission and then all my coworkers.
Okay, cool. All the cool kids came here?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Bradley, why don't you guys use this 2-track right at the edge of it?
Yep.
That way you don't have to light again. I'll just keep putting it out. Nice black line. That right there is what we shoot for.
Picture perfect, right?
Damn near. Especially in freezing.
You coming this way or you want me to route the phone? Gotcha.
Where can people find you if they're interested in obtaining your services?
Yeah, my website is restoringnatureWithFire.com.
Okay.
You can email me at dave@restoring-nature.com.
Okay. Cool. And I will put those, the email address and the link in the description.
Cool.
So.
Thank you.
Well, that was super interesting. Probably one of the more interesting things I think I've ever videoed for this channel. It's, I don't know if you guys can see. I hope this comes across in the video. I think, to be perfectly honest, the section of my property probably got burnt better than some of the other, just because there was so much leaf litter in here. And Dave was telling me that prairie grass and oak leaf, and we have a ton of oaks on our property all the way around, tend to burn the best. So if you look through here, I couldn't have walked through here very easily. I mean, it's not like the trees burned, but I don't know if they like shriveled up enough and the leaves all, burned off of these buckthorn and young Russian olive. But coming back here to where our property line is, like you can see, it burned really well all the way through here. And I think it's gonna have burned enough along here, if you guys can see this, like where the leaves have all kind of curled up and shriveled up. So I'm gonna do a follow-up video to this as well in a few weeks. Back on the border of our properties back there, I kind of created a little trail and they used that as the fire break, which worked out great. But they burned on our neighbor's side and not on our side because we just weren't planning on doing that, and we didn't have fire breaks over here, and this made the most sense. But I'm going to be very interested to see the difference between the burned side and the non-burned side, and the only difference is there's a little path down the middle, and that's where the fire break is. So this was super cool. Dave seems like a super interesting guy. His crew was awesome. They were all super nice, and yeah, this is pretty cool. Again, like I said, this is not what I expected to be doing on a Thursday afternoon, evening. If you'd asked me yesterday morning, this is not what I would have said I would have been doing. But yet here we are. Now these Russian olives, they're just too big. The fire's not going to have affected them. I'm going to have to push those out, rip those out, dig those out, and Russian olive are just a pain in the butt. But a lot of the young buckthorn, he said, should be very susceptible to the fire kill. So that's what I'm hoping for. It's really cool. I'm super excited about this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, click on that subscribe button. Like I said, we're gonna be having a lot more videos. This is kind of taking a little step outside of the homestead planning series that we've been doing. But when an opportunity like this presents itself, I couldn't say no to it. So, and honestly, this is probably something you should be looking at when you're looking at a piece of property to start your homestead. Is the undergrowth overgrown? And you're going to need to find some way to thin it out. Like all of this, you can tell at some point had been cleaned out, and now they stopped taking care of it, and all these Russian olives and buckthorns have taken over. And I'm going to need to do something in order to take care of that. Once it gets cleaned up, burning every other year might be the option. You know, I'll talk to Dave about that, and that might be the option in order to keep it from going. And, you know, field over here and the forest and back. I don't know. I'll talk to Dave, you know, and he said when he does his, you guys, I probably put it in the video, when he does his consultations with people, sometimes there's an area where someone wants to have it burned and it's just not a good fit. And other times, you know, they weren't thinking about an area, but that's the area that will benefit most from burning. So, you know, sometimes he recommends a burn and sometimes he doesn't. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. God bless you and your family. And I'll see you guys in the next video.